I have been posting and creating a lot with the brand new xTool M2 because I have really fallen in love with that machine. However, there is something that I had made recently and I feel like maybe we should just have a dedicated video to this. And the topic that we are going to be discussing today is turning basic SVG files into print color files all within the xTool Studio software. This particular video is perfect for if you wanted to turn, again, basic SVG files into color print files so you could use the inkjet color inkjet module with the M2, or if you wanted to make and print with their apparel printer, or even in preparation for that UV printer that they're launching. I still don't have that in the craft room. I can't wait to have and play with it, but this video is going to be perfect for learning the software of xTool Studio. Would like to remind you that even if you do not have an xTool laser printer or anything like that, you still can play with the xTool Studio software because it is 100% free. So while you may just be looking around seeing whether or not you want to invest in an xTool, what I highly suggest that you do is download the software and play around with the software. Watch me how I play with my software and just get acquainted with it. I really do think that when we get acquainted with the software before we ever invest in the machine, it makes the actual crafting experience when you get the machine so much better because you know what buttons to press and what buttons not. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over into the xTool Studio software. I'm gonna show you how to upload an SVG file and how to turn basic SVG files into color with just a simple button clicks. Let's go. No matter what you do over in the xTool Studio, the very first thing you wanna do is come over here and press New Project. There's actually two ways to go about this. You come over here to the right, press New Project, or you come over here into the plus sign, and that will open up a new project. For the next portion of this video, what I want you to do is be toggled over into one of the machines that has the color printing capability. So like the xTool M2 has an inkjet printer, the xTool M1 Ultra also has the ability to print in color, the apparel printer, and then eventually the UV printer that they're coming out with all have the ability to print in color. You're gonna need to be able to be selected in one of those machines so you can play around with the converting of the SVG file into print files, okay? So you can see over here on my software that I am toggled over into the xTool M2, okay? If you come over here, you can see that they have I have a bunch right here, but also over here in the library, the xTool, again, the xTool M2, the apparel printer, the M1 Ultra, and then eventually the UV printer will all be in this thing and you would just need to click one, okay? So I'm toggled over into the xTool M2. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over into my downloads folder and I am going to drag and drop this SVG file, same SVG file that I showed you earlier. We are going to edit this, okay? This SVG file is found within my Cardstock warehouse, Celebration warehouse. You can make this sign in Cardstock, you can make it in wood, you can make it in acrylic, the world is your oyster with SVG files, right? So with this SVG file, we're gonna drag and drop it into the xTool Studio. Okay, this is how it's going to open up within the studio. So what I want to do now is I want to switch this over into the color printer section, okay? So what you're gonna do is come over here into mode, click on that, and just click on this inkjet printing. So then you are gonna see that things change a little bit. That's exactly what we wanted, all right? So let's right click on this and just press Ungroup. Now you will notice that when I did that ungrouping, if I right click again, you will see these down here, these colors. This is not the color selection tool, okay? Very important that you are on some sort of the inkjet color printing module. Then you're going to click on whatever it is that you want to edit. And you see up here, we have fill and stroke. Those are what you're going to customize to the colors that you need, okay? So let me just right click this again and press ungroup so I can make every single letter its own selection, okay? So I'm gonna select the L in last. We're gonna come up here into fill, and this is where we are gonna be able to change the colors over into whatever color you want. Now, the one thing that I really wish that xTool would refine is this right here. We don't get like a starter block setting of like a good rainbow colors, right? So you have to essentially just pick all of your own colors. If you know your hex codes, you put your hex codes in. You can also bump down the opacity. If you wanted, like really the customizations on this, there is a lot there. The ability to customize all of your colors is super huge here. Unlike Cricut, where you don't have the ability to change over the opacities or even do like the dropper tool and stuff like that. It's just not available over there. Okay, so let's go through. We got the L. Let's do an A, and we're gonna select a different color. And then the S, we'll do a different color. T, we'll do red. Okay, so I have a really good starter set of colors, right? Now the cool part is if you wanted to, and this is all the colors that you wanted, you could come back over here into fill and you can see this little dropper tool right here, and we can drop in the colors that we want, just like this. Another thing that I really wish that they would refine is over here in the recent colors, I would love if they had like what is currently on here, just like a pick, you know what I mean? So we could just like pick this color that, you know what I'm saying? That would be really cool. But this is kind of like the long way of doing things, but is it impossible to customize? It is not. It just takes a little bit longer to get the customizations done. So one thing that I would like to know, and I'm just gonna zoom in here, just so we can see. Do you see how this white letter has this black stroke line that's around this? And you can see it around the S, and honestly, you can see them on all the letters, okay? If you were to print this out, so let's say that you wanted to print this out on your piece of wood. Okay, so I am gonna show you my mess up. Don't judge me because I do mess up and I am fully, and I am not perfect. But when I was testing out the software and trying to get it to print and stuff like that, I forgot to remove the stroke on my project. So I do wanna show you what that looks like with having a stroke and not having a stroke. Because some people, they look at what we have on the screen and they're like, is it really that big of a difference to take the stroke off? So I'm gonna show it to you, but just know it's messed up, okay? So over here, you can see that the black line that's around this, there's a black stroke here. However, on this side, there is not a black stroke, okay? So removing that stroke does make a difference. And how you remove that is I'm just gonna take all of this, okay? We're gonna come up here into stroke, and we are gonna put no stroke. Look at what happens here, okay? We got no stroke and we have stroke. A huge difference in what's happening, right? That is the difference between having a stroke and not having a stroke. It may not look like that big of a deal, but when you print it, it's going to end up looking like that big of a deal. Look up here in the color, again, stroke and not stroke. One just looks flatter and like on the surface. The other one looks like maybe there is like some like stickers on there or something like that. So that is just a simple way to add in your SVG files, regular plain SVG files, right? If you wanted to, let's say you wanted to print this on a piece of paper, because you can print with the xTool M2 on cardstock, right? So let's say that you only had white sheet of cardstock and you wanted to make this a color. You would just click on your pennant, come here to fill, change it to whatever color you want. Let's say you wanted to keep it black, okay? Then you would come here, right click, press ungroup. If you wanted to have all the letters and numbers a different color, right? Just ungroup it. And then we select a letter, come here to fill, and then you just add in the fill colors that you want. So then whenever you go to print this out, what you see on the screen is exactly how it's gonna end up looking. So let's say I wanted to keep some of it white, and then we have these. This is exactly how my finished product would look on a white sheet of cardstock. okay? Just like this, which is actually really cool. Now, I'm sure that xTool is going to improve their software as time goes on, because you should have seen the software when I first started using the xTool products. It ain't nothing like it was today. So the things that I wish that they could improve on, I'm sure eventually they will get there. But you know, just giving them some grace. Now, I do know that xTool is, again, always trying to evolve their software and make it better. And they are always listening to their customers. And so what I would suggest doing is if you have an xTool and you are wanting different types of functions and features, what I would suggest doing is putting them in the comments of this video or in their like message board forums and stuff like that, because again, they're always listening. They're always evolving and making their software even more powerful than it was a few years ago. So again, make sure that you put any of your wishes and wants inside the comments of this video, because I do know that they do watch my videos. I do know that. So thanks for hanging out with me today, my friends, and I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.